Ho, ho, ho. Welcome into a special edition of I Love Whiskey. And here we go. Family, friends, and strangers, welcome back to the Whiskey Wasteland for another edition of I Love Whiskey. Today is Value Day, and I'm going to be talking about three bourbons in particular that one I have not tried, but I have been requested to try, and it is a great value. So we're going to do that. The other two are two of my personal favorites that I like. So let's get into it. Opening announcements. I want to give a special shout out to everybody that has made the last review, the Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, the most successful review I've ever had. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it so much. You guys are everything to me and to this channel, and I love you, every single one of you. Thank you so much. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this. I'm a little bit busy, so I don't want to take too much time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time as well. So, I think we're ready. I think who's ready? We've been talking about this one for a while. So we've got three bourbons here. One I have not tried, two of my personal favorites, makes three value bourbons. So, number one. Little bottle. Jim Beam White Label. And guys, before you go bashing me and my little bottles, don't, because look, I've tried this before. I don't need to buy a gallon to review it. I know what this tastes like, okay? Same with this here. Evan Williams Black Label. Sour mash. Good stuff. And debuting on the show, technically all three of these have debuted on the show. Never debuted on the show. So, we have Heaven Hill, bottled in bond. I've heard this is some really good stuff. It goes heads up with some of the other really, really good bottled in bond bourbons and whiskeys. So we're going to try that out. I'm excited. I literally was in the store yesterday to get this, and the manager at the liquor store that I was in pointed this out to somebody else. So that made me feel good. I've heard a lot of things about it. One in particular, Working Man's Whiskey, Bobby, has reviewed this, and he has liked it. So, we're going to try this. I'm not going to take too much time. I'm not really going to go through the distilleries or anything. I'm going to pour this, rate it, on to the next. So we have Jim Beam here. It's a 4-year bourbon. It is 40% ABV and 80 proof. We have Evan Williams, and that one is 43 ABV and 80 proof, 86 proof, sorry. And then we actually have the Evan Williams, not small bottle. And this one is 50% ABV and 100 proof. So it is obviously a bottled in bond. 6-year bourbon, says it right on the label. Evan Williams, I believe, is 5 to 7 years, 5 to 6 years. So it's a little bit older for just, a nice bourbon. So I'm actually going to get into the Jim Beam first. And I'll read the bottle on the big one. I'm not gonna do anything with these two. I've talked many times about Jim Beam. If you all haven't been out there, guys, come on, what are you waiting for? And Evan Williams, same thing. These two are actually distilled in the same distillery. So I actually did not know that until I did a little research, and then little do I know, they're both bottled in Bardstown, Kentucky at the same distillery, Heaven Hill Distillery. Imagine that. So, the Jim Beam White Label, the small bottle actually has the legacy on there, if you guys can see that. The 7 founders, per se, of Jim Beam, and it goes Jacob Beam, and we have David Beam, then David M. Beam, Colonel James E. Beam. Then T. Jeremiah Beam, Booker Note, and Fred Note, who's an amazing guy. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the Jim Beam White Label, #1 seller in America. I'm just going to go ahead and pour all of this. Actually, yeah, why not? All right. Special edition. Merry Christmas. All right. So this is gone. So we're going to nose. And it's beautiful Jim Beam. It's Jim Beam White Label. It's #1 seller for a reason. It's got the sweet, it's got the oak, it's got the char. It's just a beautiful all-around whiskey. You get a little spice in there, and I don't know if it's a glass, but it smells a little sweeter than usual. Maybe they sweetened it up for me. Who knows? Let's go ahead and try it. Amazing Jim Beam. What can I say? My absolute favorite. Go-to sip-on Jim Beam White Label. Great value. You can get a big, what we call handles of this stuff for a little over $20. But the basic, let's see, this is a 300, where's the daggone, 750 milliliter. You can get a 750 milliliter of Jim Beam for $13 out my way, which is a great value. I love this bourbon, and I will love this bourbon until there's no more Whiskey Wasteland, which in turn will be no more me. So, let's take another sip. It's got your sweetness on the palate. It's got the oak, the barrel char, the spices. It's very smooth. But then again, I don't really drink the 80 proof anymore. It's more of the higher proof. So this to me is smooth. There's no burn whatsoever. It's just a great all-around whiskey. If you haven't tried it, try it out. Now we go to Evan Williams. Evan Williams. Black Label. So this is the basic. This is like the Jim Beam White Label to Evan Williams. And this is a sour mash. This is it's a little different from Jim Beam. So let's go ahead and nose this. And it's a lot different from Jim Beam. It's got the, wow, it's a lot sweeter smelling. I get a lot of floral notes, a lot of sweet floral notes. Excuse me. A lot of sweet floral notes in there. Oak. Little barrel char. It's good. It smells good. Brown sugar. Brown sugar, maybe? Okay, let's go ahead and taste it. Okay, baking spices in the front, oak in the back, baking spices. It's hard to put my finger on that. Little dried fruits. Maybe some apricots? Apricots? That's a good one. Good sour mash. It's not really consistent. It gets hotter as you drink it, which I don't like at all. So I'm actually going to put this one aside. I'm not going to finish this one. It's good, but it wouldn't be my absolute go-to anymore now that I'm actually lining these up. So I'm going to have to get some new favorites, guys. Wow. Sheesh. I don't know, maybe I got a bad batch. It doesn't taste like Evan Williams, really. Not the black label I'm used to. So we'll put that aside. And we're going to rate these after I sample them. Okay, so last but not least, this is kind of like a 2-for-1 special here. We've got our Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond. And I believe this is going to be very good. Okay, so I'm excited about this one, guys. All right, 2-for-1 special here. So let's nose this. Not the best smelling. Right off the bat, it's sweeter. It's sweet, little oak, little cherry. I'm getting a little cherry in there. Vanilla, caramel. Let's try it out. Oh wow, that's sweet. That's good. That's really good. I'm impressed. That's good stuff. Not much burn. I'm getting maybe some cloves, spices like that. A little spice. The oak is there. Got some vanilla. That's good. That's pretty sweet. It's good. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about price point. I talked about this price point already. Evan Williams is about the same. It's a little bit more expensive than Jim Beam. I've seen the handles of this go for about $25 depending on where you go, but you can get a 750 milliliter for under $20. And this gem right here, this is a heck of a find, guys. If you see this, go ahead and buy it. I gave $11 for this. 11 and some change. This is actually bottled here at the Heaven Hill Distilleries. I'm actually going to read this bottle to you because I did not do that, and I apologize. So it's the Heaven Hill, of course. So on this side, I'm slacking today on my Christmas, on my holiday review. All right, best of the great Kentucky bourbons. Made in Bardstown, Kentucky, the heart of bourbon country, Heaven Hill Old Style Bourbon is named for the spring that ran through the distillery grounds. This spring originally provided the pure limestone water used to produce this fine bourbon. Today, Heaven Hill Old Style Bourbon continues its legacy as a fine Kentucky bourbon. Okay. On the other side, mellow, smooth, charcoal filtered. Cool stuff. Established shortly after Prohibition, this bottled in bond, Heaven Hill Old Style Bourbon, adheres to the strictest requirements for unexcelled quality. It is produced using a time-proven method by 6th and 7th generation master distillers whose craft has been passed on from generation to generation. Charcoal filtered just prior to bottling. This bourbon is known for its smooth yet mild and mellow flavor. Cheers to that, because it is definitely that. And I'm going to say you can't really tell that that's 100 proof. It doesn't have the bite of the 100 proof bourbons that I'm used to. It's more of the smooth, the mellow, mild bourbon. It's good. This is a good bourbon. So for the ratings, I've got to give my guy Jim Beam the one up on these two. We'll give Jim Beam an 86 out of 100. I think that's a fair score. I mean, yes, it's my favorite go-to. Is it my favorite bourbon of all times? No, it is not. That would go to the Jim Beam Distiller's Cut as of right now. I think 86 is a fair score, though. For just an average everyday sipper, 86 is a great score. For the Evan Williams, where we tried that second, it's not my favorite anymore. It's never really been my favorite. It's just a go-to sipper. I'm going to rate this a 79. And I was going to rate it a little lower, but I'm going to give them a pass. I think this was a bad batch. I don't think I got a really good batch. So for this particular little tiny airplane bottle, that's what we have. The Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond. It's tough because I love it, and for the price, I wish they made bigger bottles. I think they did have a bigger bottle of this. There's no knocks on this. I'm gonna put this in my top 5 of go-to sippers from now on. And I'm going to rate this an 85. I think this is a very solid bourbon, and I think you all should definitely get your hands on this if you find it, which it's readily available. All 3 of these obviously are readily available. There's no waiting period whatsoever, and I can't say much more about them. The Heaven Hill was definitely a good find, and something that I will definitely sip on for the future. And of course, Evan Williams, I was a little disappointed, but hey, everyone makes a bad batch. I'm not bashing Evan Williams. It's a great brand. Evan Williams makes Heaven Hill, right? Or Heaven Hill makes Evan Williams, whatever. So I can't say anything bad about Evan Williams. It's a great product. The 1783 that I reviewed was great. I loved it. So maybe it's just the black label. Maybe my taste is kind of straight away from the Evan Williams black label. And now I'm just rambling, so I'm going to shut up and do my closing announcements. Guys, I've come to a point to where I am getting more and more requests for merchandise, for things, hey, when can I buy a t-shirt? When can I buy a hat? I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I see that in the future. However, now it's not going to happen. The channel is still growing, and I feel like it's not the right time yet. When that time comes, I guarantee you guys, you all will be the first to know, of course, because you all watch the channel. So for now, if you want that stuff, I need you. Spread the word. Go tell everybody, hey, this guy's awesome. The Whiskey Wasteland's the real deal. And let's make it happen. This can happen with you watching right there. You. I see you. You. So go on and spread that word. And we'll make it happen, I promise. And for those that support and follow and reply and request, thank you so much. It does not go unnoticed. As you know, I'm very responsive to messages. At least I'm not as active on social media as I'd like to be because it is the holiday season. It's crazy busy. I promise once this holiday season is over, we will get back into it. So, with that being said, just a couple closing announcements. Make sure you all follow the Instagram, the Snapchat, and the Facebook. And I'm working on another one. It's called Holliness, I believe. I'm working on it. I have not completed it as of yet. Stay tuned for that. I'll make the announcement. But it's a growing social media website, and I think that's going to be very, very successful in the very, very near future. And that's all I have, other than Southern California. You guys are in my thoughts and my prayers. I know a lot of you all have been impacted and affected by the fires out there. You all stay strong, come together, and you'll make it through. And I hope you all have a very, very Merry Christmas. That goes to everybody. And a happy holiday. And I will see you soon. Cheers from the wasteland.